Divvy in the Bivvy.
Hi guys, Divvy in the Bivvy here, and I'm actually in my bivvy this time. The last couple of times I've been out, I went out in the that collapsible pop-up tent, which I keep saying to you is a truly excellent idea. Believe me, it's really mobile. Wander around, flick it up, put it back together. Even when you're static and it's reasonable weather, and you're not going to be there for too long, and cumbersome a little bit sometimes putting up a bivvy. But anyway, it's bloody cold now. It's the new year. You should have seen the last video where I explained that I've not been up on the lakes and reservoirs for a little while in the end of the year, which was end of October, November time, beginning of December, because it was simply so low. It was madness. You couldn't get to water's edge without wading through sort of ankle deep in mud. So I went up on the rivers. If you'd seen the other video, you saw that I went 5 times. I had 5 pike, 6 pike, no pike, 7 pike, 2 pike, and at the time I got none, I kind of guessed I was going to get none. The river was in flood. I fished it, but it was chocolate water, and it was really high, and it was pretty pointless. I tried to find a couple of little places which were a little bit of backwater and that, but it was dead. The biggest was 16, I think. The majority of them were high singles, very low doubles, sort of between 8 and 12 pound, I guess. Then I went to Exeter Canal, fished it all day, 3 lines out, different baits, different locations, not as much as a touch. You can see now I'm back on the lakes and reservoirs, and the water is right up. Actually it's gone the other way now. Of course it's really high as opposed to being sort of medium. It's really high, but it's a lovely day. Water is gin clear, as you'd expect, I guess. The mist is rising above the water. It's truly idyllic. 3 lines out, 3 different baits, all on the bottom, all popped up. Joey mackerel, half herring, and sardine. It's very cold. It's just over freezing, probably about 2-3 degrees. A few days it has been freezing overnight, but it hasn't frozen overnight. 3 rods out, as I say, on all 3 on Delkins with drop arms as well. Fanned out, 1 out to the left, 1 straight out, and 1 out to the right. It's quite difficult to actually put them other than sort of in a very narrow V as opposed to a really wide V, because the trees and the overhang and that, couldn't cast on them. Show you the rig later. Normal rig, very, very simple. If I do snag, it just pulls off really easy. It's a really good tip, and I really searched around to find out how to do this, because carp fishermen do it all the time, but the way they do it, their tackle is so intricate and so light compared. I couldn't really find the best way to do a simple snap off on a running rig, but I cracked it now, and I'll show you that later. It is good. So if you are struggling to find that, it's worth looking at. It's basically just a run rig with a bit of wire trace, on low breaking strain, obviously. And I use a C-clip. The C-clip is £6. I don't mean money, I mean in strength. If it was £6 in money, we'd be over problems. Buffer bead over it, so if the lead weight gets snagged, it just, so anything £6, it will snap. And if that were to be truly Herculean that particular day, the wire trace attaching it is only £10 as well, so that would snap. Heavy braid. I don't like using braid up here, as I said before. I prefer using mono, but I'm using 1 line with heavy braid, £50, in case I get snagged, because I hate leaving the lines out there. The 2 have got £25 mono on. You know, you think, well, older than £50 is obviously stronger than 25, but there's a lot of rocks and shale and that kind of stuff. And braid, when it touches it, I've lost several decent pike up here, fighting them, and then I can feel it go against something and off it's gone. Whereas I haven't lost 1, touch wood, up here on mono. Every one of them I've managed to land no problem at all, without, even if it's gone around a little. So I think they're a little bit more forgiving when it comes to rocks and shale and tree stumps and the like. Mono, it seems to be it seems to handle the abrasion better. There you go. Isn't that lovely? Can you see the mist rising off? And it's the time is 9 o'clock. I've been here since 7, and it's beginning of January. It took me about an hour or so to set up in the dark. Everything else is set up. Just a waiting game now. Time for a brew. Got my dog with me, Lucky, little darling. She's down there having a snooze. She's had a bone to chew on, and she's keeping me company. I'm convinced there's a pike in here over £30. It's wishful thinking, I know, but I think there's been a couple out of here over the years, not recently, but over the years, very high 20s, 27, 28. So you've got to say, it can look after a £30 pike, this water. It's big, there's a lot of prey fish in here, lots of perch. People actually come up here and drop fish for perch, and there's a lot of perch in here. Anyway, there it is, let's see what happens. Just had that pike, not a very big one, I guess a small jack, £5, something like that. Fell on a sardine. I don't know if you can see my Lucky dog. She's here, look. Can you see her? There she is, little darling. And this is something I do. I don't know if a lot of you do this, but if I got 3 rods out, I kind of leave them at a maximum of 2 hours, and then I bring one in every half an hour. So I've got 3 rods out, I bring one in on the hour, next one in on the half hour after that, and next one in on the hour. I generally prepare the bait for the line before I bring it in, because if it's been out in that water for 2.25 hours, it might be looking a bit ropey. So I might just, especially if you're going to be out in the same sort of area, it makes sense to sort of either change the bait in terms of changing the fish bait you're using, or at least maybe even just change the bait. So if you're using a herring, maybe put on a fresh herring or something. I prepare it before I bring the line in, rather than so many people I see, and I've done it myself. You bring the line in, you know you're going to change it, you unhook it, and you waste 10-15 minutes on the bank preparing it, and you sometimes rush it a little bit because you know it's out of the water and you want to get it back in. So it's better to prepare it, obviously, before you bring the line in. What I'm using here now is well, 3/4 of a bluey, and I've put a small pop-up on it. 2 treble hooks again, as you can see, hopefully, that I've lashed it around the tail, look, around there, and then taken the elastic, bait elastic, up around the hook, and then just around it 2 or 3 times here, just to hold it in. And as you can see, that's gonna withstand a decent cast, and when it lands, it's gonna still have the hooks like that. They're not going to be hanging out or have come off. Popped up like this is not going to be totally elevated off the ground. If I put a bigger one in, it would have elevated straight up, but this will, instead of it laying flat like that, it will just pop up maybe like that. That, to my mind, is a tremendous advantage. This might fall behind some leaves and you wouldn't see it. Simple as that. And you'd be looking all over it, and then you look down, you see it when you're above it. You know, if it's elevated a bit, makes sense to me. That, you know, it makes it easier for the fish to see. It will certainly take it. I'm not saying a pike wouldn't take if it was laying flat. It would. And in the same way, it would take the same bait if it was laying flat, if it was elevated, but it's every chance of seeing it. A swimming pool, and put something on the bottom and look around for it. Elevate it up and you'll see it immediately. And I thread the pop up through the body, out through this end here, and just pull the trace through it. The trace comes through, there's a little hook there. This is the pop up I make with a trace and a loop on the other end there. And so it goes through there. I use a baiting needle, pull it out. This will come out here somewhere, the trace through, and so this is all concealed. The only thing that's showing is the pop up. The trace is going under the skin, out here. Put the wire trace through it, hook this end through the little loop, pull it through, up, and it's round there now. That loop from that pop up is actually around here, totally concealed. and it won't break loose either. You're not going to lose it because it's on the trace. Again, as I say to you, I always use long traces, 20 inches, 22 inches, 7 strand, 40 pound. With a, I make them myself. And then just before I put it out, knock in some lamprey oil. Just before I put it out, I'm going to take in the rod with the first rod to come in. It's been out for about 2 hours. Unhook it, clip this one on, straight back out. No time wasted, maximum time in the water. Hope that's something you can consider anyway. It's helped me. A little bit of extra time in the water, innit? Still not had my cup of tea I was going to have. Just as I was going to have it. Pike's interrupt just came along and off he bloody well. Off he went. Anyway, there we go. Speak to you in a minute.